seen recently where Amazon and Google are getting real interested in it because they look at the unbanked as a segment of the world population, U.S. and the world population, that honestly could buy products using the technologies that we're sitting here talking about, but they can't because they don't have access to credit or they don't have access to the tools that we all use to just buy stuff online, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, from a purely economic point of view, there have been a growing number of economists that have said that if FinTech in some way, shape, or form bring this unbanked population into the banking system, that it would be a major boost to the world economy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's definitely a topic that hits close to home because at one point I was a non-documented student, and so with that comes the inability to like just walk into Wells Fargo and ask them to open a bank account because there are certain security measures that they have to take that a lot of the time when you're undocumented you don't have access to that information, and so obviously you then have to seek out a means, a way to live, and so you go to other sectors, right? Like the check cashing places, and that's really where a lot of people do their business because it's so ingrained in that culture of not trusting the establishments, not trusting the financial institutions because of fear that, you know, somebody will say something to a certain authority figure and then, you know, it just ends up bad on your part, versus the other resources that you have available to you that are not traditional, where you know that it's almost a community sense where you feel like, I know how to do this, there's people that are in the same situation that are doing the same thing I'm doing. But on the other side of that, it's, you know, to the point that you do almost feel like you're missing out on an experience. You're missing out on the ability to do things that other people are doing because I can't have the Cash App, I can't do Venmo because I don't have a bank account. And so if FinTech can get into that space of being able to offer you know, another viable option for them, I think that would be huge in terms of how much growth we could see in the economy from those people kind of coming into playing a part that we all kind of take for granted sometimes because we don't realize what we have access to. And it's more than just being able to have an app on your phone. It's, you know, getting your time back from not having to drive to these places during their business hours and stand in line and, you know, just having to go through the whole hassle of it. And not to talk about all the fees that they charge you when you go to these places. And so, yeah, like there's just so many layers on that, but I will touch on, you know, the fact that time is a huge thing, and fees, so like people saving their money is a huge thing. Just overall, just not having access to that it's a triple effect, like a trickle down effect is what I'm trying to get to.
I have a bit of experience with that. Just I was in banking in my home country, and for the latter part of my career, I did small business loans. So what I saw very often was you have these small mom and pops come in and they want an overdraft, they want a loan. Okay, so do you have a bank account, a business bank account? No, I don't, you know, or they have a personal savings, but they don't really use it. They maybe live in a small village that's very rural and the bank is miles and miles away in town. Maybe they don't have a working car. Maybe it's very inconvenient to them for them to have to go and, you know, go into the bank. And all of their customers are paying cash, so why would I have to go and take the cash over to the bank just to show you that I have a successful business? So they weren't able to prove that they were, you know, viable businesses that, you know, the bank should be able to do business with. Now, you did have loan officers like myself, and I'm really proud of this, that basically what we're looking for is, I need to find a way to help you. So I tell them, you know what, if you don't, some of them were illiterate at times, you need to help them through that process. And, you know, get them to write down their finances. This is what you spend on the stock, this is what you spend on payroll, this is what you spend on this, and, you know, bring that back to me after a couple of months. Start depositing your money. It's gonna be a difficult process, but go ahead and start doing that, and then come back and then we can get you the financing that you need. So people who are unbanked, people who are disenfranchised, people who don't have easy access to financial services. That's something that I feel very passionate about, because you have communities that cannot grow because of that.
Yes.
You know, you're left stagnant, you're left behind.
Yeah.
You know, where, you know, we have access to financial services that, like you mentioned, some of us take for granted. Absolutely. I take for granted that I can take out my phone,
Yeah.
and if, you know, a family member needs money immediately for whatever medical services or whatever it may be,
Valid.
or, you know, they have a birthday coming up and I wanna, you know, send some money, that I can do that instantaneously without even having to think about it. But you have people who literally they cannot move ahead with their life because they don't have access to financial services. And I'm really happy to say that because of, you know, being exposed to my classes with the Georgia FinTech Academy and FinTech on a whole, I'm starting to see how I can find solutions for those problems. It feels like a huge task in my mind, but at the same time, I'm passionate about, you know, what can I do to improve circumstances for people who aren't, you know, in the system already, don't have access to what I have access to.
100%.
You know, you two both touched on something that's actually a big deal for me. My sister's Nigerian, and like they sent a lot of money back and forth between here and Nigeria. And before that, like it took forever. It takes a really long time, and it's a lot of fees. But now, and a lot of people actually don't know this, that Nigeria is actually a really big space and market for FinTech.
Yes.
And FinTech's actually just changed the entire economy in Nigeria. People are now being able to start businesses. Families are able to send money between one another. And so I remember when you was talking about those check cashing places. So my father's second wife, my sister's mother, she's Nigerian. They were here. She would always go to these check cashing places, and I was like, wait, I saw your check was like $700, for example. I was like, now it's $650. Wait, they took $50 just for you to get money that you worked for.
Exactly.
And that's $50 can make the difference between whether someone's going to have a house, like a shelter over there. You know? So that's why FinTech is like, it's dear to my heart now. After I've like learned what's going on and what's happening, and applications like that where you don't have to go to that check cashing place with the crazy fees all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like in a way, if I can like just put it simply, it's almost like with us, the financial services industry kind of revolves around our lives versus those that maybe are excluded. Their lives revolve around financial services.
Exactly.
It's determined by that.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. I like that.